Is somebody going to name the chuckling at the beginning of this thing? I can't take it anymore. But anyways, we're here. And we had the big reveal last week that Paul's actually the real Paul McCartney.
That's right.
So the other guy's really, really talented, and I'm glad you're just off on Junior's farm with your 50 Shades of Grey obsessed dog. And
that's right. My dog that came out to you.
Making hell on wheels.
By now our guest is wanting to leave and trying to get to the door.
Jump over the mic.
And we have Greg joining us as always. It is Deep Purple. Right?
I'm joining.
But we're really thrilled that I say we have so many creative people around here. What can I say about it? We can actually talk about art that I never know anything about, but that's what I'm here to learn, I guess.
I'm actually
just like that lobster shirt on Paul's shirt. But we have Nia Shea here. We're really thrilled. Hey, Nia.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
And how did you get into all this stuff? When did your little muse come and say, hey, we want you to do art, we want you to do music?
Oh, God. Well, it's all kind of super new. So the band that I'm in now, The Living Room, is the first band I've ever been in.
That's always exciting.
Yeah, it's just something that I was asked to do. That's not something in a million years I ever thought would happen, but Eric asked me to do it, and I was really, overwhelmed and said yes. The rest of the stuff, art, I guess.
Don't just use the term art.
Well, I gotta be honest. I'm very queasy about using the term.
Well, what do you want to use? What do you want to call it then?
I don't know. I got
expression.
Sure. Drawing and stuff, which I can't really do. I don't really know how to draw. But I have an art show on display right now. I was part of a residency program at the Yards, which is like a 3-week intensive, 6-week intensive. You just have a space and you can do whatever. And I kind of always thought if I had a designated space where I couldn't just lay down and go to bed, which is what I was doing during COVID. I started doodling a lot and just making these really weird fine line drawings that were really big and crazy, and they were just for me to keep myself busy because I'm crazy and I need something to do or I will.
I love sketch drawings.
Yeah,
they're cool.
So I did that and I applied for the residency and it's going well enough that I'm going to stay there and we'll see.
I would do those. I remember the one grammar school exercise you're just supposed to sketch or do something, and I would forget and do it in the morning and spill cereal on it. And it would just be, and then try to make up then just try to make up something about what this was when all it was.
I have a feeling you were an interesting child.
Oh yeah, they tried to send me to the psychiatrist because I said Snow White. I cried when the Wicked Queen died.
Oh no, something wrong with that boy.
That boy over there.
I think you're the second person that said that.
Did you cheer when Bambi died or Bambi's mother died? Or
no, but you notice what they do. She's so much cooler than Snow White, so they have to turn her ugly because otherwise, and that mirror's just jealous. That mirror's jealous telling her that. That mirror's jealous saying you're not. It's like, I talked to you. No. Just jealous.
Yeah, the mirror could have just placated her. It was fine. You didn't need to, get somebody murdered.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just using, for arts and music, I just use a generic term, but we could say, expression, draw, creativity.
Sure. And I shouldn't be queasy about it. I'm just, I've had a lot of conversations lately with people about my lack of, security in my ability because, if I'm being honest, I think people think that I'm not telling the truth about that, but I really don't know what I'm doing. I don't have a lot of skill. I don't have a lot of knowledge of how to apply any skills. I can't play any instruments. I can't really actually draw.
Welcome to the club, pretty much. He's a drummer, remember?
That's right. I get a lot of that. I hit things.
Yeah.
That's what I do. No, but you have the drive. I mean, the inspiration, and you keep pushing forward. I mean, that's part of it. You want to do it, so you have,
I don't really know what else there is.
And there's a point to anybody who comes in and says, "Well, I'm the greatest there is," and they suck.
Well, I don't know. I also don't really have a lot of intention or sense of like a long-term goal or like a vision. I'm just kind of keeping myself busy.
Well, when you don't know things, you have more to learn.
That's right.
That's the way it
is. And there's what's in you that you're trying to get at, right?
Yeah.
So there's this friend of mine who's an artist in Hudson Valley. He's got a show, and it's the first show he's had in like forever. And he draws on a like a 4x6 piece of paper a different doodle every single day.
I love that.
And he just adds to it through the year, and then he starts it over again. And he's got a show now of all of like 8 or 9 years of his stuff.
That's really cool.
Which is really cool.
I like that accumulation of...
Yeah.
It's compared to my skills where, like, when I was a kid, they used to have those TV guide things where if you, like, draw this turtle... By the way, I saw, like, some weird turtle in the yard over here before the show. It's like a yellow snapping turtle.
Oh, wow.
I'll send you a picture later.
Did you put it back in the canal?
I didn't go... No, it's in the yard.
I had an Etch-a-Sketch.
Just hanging out.
But what I did was they had those things in the TV guide, like draw this turtle, win money.
Oh, right.
So I tried to draw it by putting tracing paper over it and tracing it, and they caught me every time.
I think I actually did one of those too, and I got the kit and all that stuff, and then I just kind of gave up. I said, "Oh, this is hard."
It's really hard. That's the big reason I've never like learned to do it. It's really hard, and I don't. I'm kind of lazy sometimes.
No, and I think we all come to things different ways. Some people are classically trained musicians. Other ones just learn themselves. Other people take all these art classes or everything else. Other people you learn. I think when you don't have that structure, it's great because you're free to have every influence you want, to do what you want.
I'm interested also in people doing things that are like not correct. So like I have been playing the guitar a lot,
like the show sort of action.
I don't know how to play the guitar. I don't understand how it works. I don't understand really what chords are, but I play it every day. But it's like an alien's.
Remember, Leonard Cohen said there's a secret chord.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, I have to show you.
I drew comics as a kid, and I just, started with just
I'm a huge
drawing the Superman stuff.
Yeah,
and
they're playing I'm Your Man at the Little again.
When?
Soon. I took a picture of it. I was there with them. No, like I say about doing things wrong, that's this whole basis of this podcast, basically. It's like, we don't follow any rules.
Yes, learn from the masters.
You were going to say something, Greg?
No, I was just saying that I used to draw comics and sketch and things, and I just... it was just something to do. I got interested in it. I like colors and shading and things. And then when I started, taking drum lessons, that was like the only thing I jumped into. That was like the only thing that I really kept at. Like I wasn't a sports guy. So I think it's just you find your niche and you go for it.
Well, and I also kind
of
like...
experiment and you'll find it.
I like so my real, like, day job is also weird and, like, sort of side involved. So I'm a model for art classes for like all the local colleges and all the other places.
Oh, wow.
That's how I make money. So being around it all the time is really nice. Like I guess that's more, if I had to say that there was like something I want the most is just being around a bunch of art is a better feeling almost than like making anything good. It's just nice to be around.
Have you ever seen the movie Art School Confidential?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Daniel Close.
Not in a very long time, but yeah.
But the best part about that too is like the idea where the one undercover cop does this crap, and it's like looked on as like brilliant. It's like in Ghost World with the teacher with the Leanna Douglas.
Right. I love Ghost World.
Oh, I love anything Daniel Close, and they just took that out of two pieces in the graphic novel and turned it because they need Seymour, but that's it. But they turned it. But I love that. Well, what is it? They heard catch line about everything. Is it about your father? And the one with like the one's like the thing with the chicken stuff and everything. It's a brilliant achievement.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It is kind of all objective. I don't know. I have the older I get, the more I'm souring on people who spend most of the time they're discussing something, tearing it down. If you're in a group of people you don't know well. Mm-hmm. If you're with, like, your buddy, you can do... That's different. Like, but anytime I meet new people and the main focus of, like, a conversation about music or art or anything is, like, what's bad, that always feels... That's started to feel a lot ickier than it used to, where I'm like, really? There's nothing that you're not, like... There's nothing that you're just like jumping out of your skin excited about that you'd rather.
I know.
Talk
Don't
about?
you like anything?
Those pool playing dogs.
I
There's
hate
pictures of the dogs playing pool.
One thing that really bothers me
Only
is super sarcastic people. It's like, is that your only way of expressing yourself is sarcasm? To me, that's like a coward's way out.
I realize that even me complaining about people complaining about things is kind of, that's...
No, but I always say, try it. If you think it's so easy, try it.
Right.
At least people are, like, I could never get up on stage or whatever, think I do this stuff, so I respect people to try, and maybe I don't like the type of music, or I don't like that, but there's still,
right, no one is going to force you to buy and consume and like, pay someone for their art. So if you're not paying for it, and if nobody made you give them money, then I think you should probably.
And you just coming this from yourself and your own vision? Did you have any influences that you've liked,
music wise?
Well, any ones.
So with the living room, Eric writes everything for the living room, so it's all just kind of us figuring out what fits together, and the way that I do it is I usually just listen to him a bunch and come up with my own like harmony or part for it or whatever. And for that band specifically, I'm always thinking about Nick Cave, I'm always thinking about Mark Lanigan, thinking about Nancy Sinatra a lot, thinking about the Nancy Sinatra and Lee Hazelwood records. That's definitely, there's something about those voices that kind of mirrors what Eric and I are doing. And Mark Lanigan and Isabel Campbell kind of did something that was ripping them off. So Eric and I are kind of definitely doing
one of the ones we talked about, like some of the things you've just played that you have to get new ones. Ballad of the Broken Seas for me.
I love that
was
record.
I just played it.
Incredible.
And then The Circus is Leaving Town's like the best Tom Waits song Tom Waits has never.
Right,
as soon as you hear Ruby, you're like, wait a second, is this Tom or is this Mark?
Yeah.
Did the band approach you said?
Yeah, so I've been friends with Eric for a while, and I had lived in California, and I was moving back to Rochester, and I didn't really want to move back to Rochester, and it was a whole bummer of a situation.
I know how that goes.
Yeah,
I was out there.
Yeah, he's like, I guess, like, still this Indonesian diplomat that's got a hit out for him.
Oh my God!
Because of California.
I hit this guy. He had an Indonesian government. He was a government Indonesian diplomat.
Story?
I hit him on
my
the
God.
101. I bumped into him. We were going real slow, and then his wife came out and was like all ballistic and freaking out.
Whoa.
But that was the one time when everybody goes, "Don't get car rental insurance. It's a ripoff." Don't believe it.
No, you should always
Because I had
get
it, and
car
I'm
rental
glad I
insurance.
had it.
I'll tell you to do that. That's always do that. But I moved back from California. I was not doing super great, and a couple weeks before I moved back, Eric messaged me that he was trying to put this band together, and it was like a project he'd wanted to do for a long time. So he pulled a bunch of people together. There's a lot of us. There's 7 of us all together. And we just started practicing, and I think our first gig was booked for April of 2020, so that didn't happen. So we only started playing out in 2021. So we've only played a couple gigs together, and the first time we played is the first time I ever played ever at all. So it's still only like 5 or 6 times.
How was that, like, going up on stage and everything then? How did you cope with that?
It was weird. It was not at all the feeling that I expected. It was a really good experience. The first thought I had when it was over was, wait a minute, it's over? We're done? Like, I felt like I had just gotten warmed up when it ended. Like, I thought, okay, now I'm ready to really go, but we're done. So it went by a lot faster. I knew immediately, okay, I can definitely do better than that. And I also thought, I also have to do that again soon, and I have to keep doing that, and I can't stop doing this. So there was a weird, like, an instant, like, this is sort of, I have to do this. But I don't get, I don't know how to describe this. It's not being on stage that is scary. It's actually it's like the act of singing. It is a really weird, vulnerable, strange physical thing to do. There's like one less layer of separation between you and the audience if you don't have an instrument. Like if you are literally the instrument, it's a weird experience.
But you can hit them with your mic stand.
I can, yeah.
And I have known some singers who are so nervous, like in one band I knew, they just gave them a guitar, even though, like,
just to hold
it.
Yeah. Well, that's my biggest, that's the biggest problem I've had. I've seen photos of me And I'm like, what am I doing with my hands? I don't know what to do. I don't know where to put my hands most of the time. And most of the time we've been on really small stages or we're really close together. So I don't really know how to, like, move around in a way that looks, like, cool or normal. So there's all sorts of pictures of me, like, holding the mic stand weird or, like, holding it like this. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Well, I know my friend Julia, she does, like, hand motions on stage, and they look fine. You've seen it.
Yeah, she's fine.
And I asked her about it, and I said, you're very natural on stage. And she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. But she just sort of does, like, almost like a little... like this and everything?
The thing that happened last time we played, which was the time that I tried to play without drinking, which is, it's not like I'm a big drinker, it was just, I hadn't done that yet. And we did a long set where we played at Lux and we played, for like an hour and then a break and then another hour. It's a long night, but it's really fun. And those shows are great there. It's so fun to play there. But the first set was terrible. I was so stiff, and the first, like, without thinking about it, I realized that I almost just turned around in the middle of the like, I almost just did, like, the dumb Jim Morrison thing and just turned around and faced like, because I didn't want...
You could have done a lot worse Jim Morrison things.
But it was like, well, yeah, definitely. But the, like, instinct to hide is, like, very unconscious. Like, I had no sense of, like, that I realized when I was mid turning around, like, you can't turn around. What are you doing? But there's I don't realize that I'm closing my eyes a lot too. There's a lot of times where I'll just be like this, and then I realize, like, oh, I don't actually know, like, how long I've been doing this for, and I don't know, like, if I'm holding on to stuff right. Like, it's very out of body.
That's weird. Like, sometimes I told Greg Townsend one time, I said, I'm not falling asleep during your set because sometimes I'll close my eyes during the show because I want to focus on the music.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's...
And you can hear, like, I'll try to focus on one instrument or anything. Mm-hmm. But I've noticed, like, I always tell people, one person to watch was, like, Colin Blunstone. I saw the Zombies. Because what Colin would do is, you don't have to jump around like Mick Jagger or like Billie Eilish, Greg's favorite.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't have to jump around. You don't have to do anything. He just stands there. But he's the epitome of cool.
Right.
And, you know, Ian Gillan, he would have bongos. And why would he have bongos?
Congas.
Oh, who cares?
Congas.
It doesn't matter. But he had congas.
Congas are little.
It didn't matter. He just had them because he was nervous. So when he was in Black Sabbath, I guess they had fishing wire attached and they yank it off the stage.
Oh my God, really?
Or like even like some like I know Liam Gallagher maybe to stand up straight with the hands behind the hands behind.
That's a thing that I do all the time when I'm modeling. I think, what would Liam Gallagher do right now? That's an easy thing to do.
Take that one way. Don't do that for some things.
Yeah, what would I'm not? Nowhere else in life am I asking what would Liam Gallagher do.
Probably
do
punch
the
somebody.
Of whatever you do. But that stance in particular is one that I'm always. He always says it helps him sing better, and I've tried it.
Maybe it's a posture thing or a forcing the air out.
Well, the thing is, he's doing something that's really not good for you, but it does work. He's right.
Because I put my hands in my back pocket sometime when I'm singing.
Yep, and that's a big... so, like, if you're going to learn how to do it, and if you were to go to a voice teacher or something, right? That's like a big no, right? You're not supposed to put your hands in your pockets. You're not supposed to do any of that stuff. But, like, who cares? I don't know.
You know what? I don't really think there's any wrong ways. I mean, whatever you end up doing to be comfortable is going to be your shtick.
Right.
It is too, and there isn't any wrong way.
Right.
We have to. Well, it's like that one that old said that like live joke back when it was watchable, where it was like, you know, where they were talking about like STDs and all this stuff, and the vampire can't find anybody to bite because of all the stuff going around, right? So he's flying in, there's this woman, he's going, oh, but I have a boyfriend. Oh, his name's Keith Richards. Oh!
I do love Keith. Keith is actually, this is a weird thing. I'm not a huge Stones head, but Keith Richards has always been one of my favorite songwriters.
I like
all the songs that he writes for the Stones the most. Yeah. Those are my favorite ones. The first thing I ever sang on stage was You Got the Silver when I was in high school.
And I have to do the quote I've been doing lately from his book. There's two funny things in his autobiography. The one thing is he literally, at the beginning of the book, he goes, well, there are a bunch of older guys I hung around with, but I stopped. I didn't like it. They were doing drugs. And then the other one was when he's working with the musicians in Jamaica. He's like, I can't believe these Rastas. They laid up a joint as soon as they get up. Me, I wait at least 10 minutes.
Yeah.
No, I like him. He's like cool, and like his songs. Like I have his Expensive Wino's Wife, and I think he's more. He's more the rock guy.
His songs are a little more like, for the Stones anyway. They're a little more like. Cerebral's not the right word. There's something about the structure of what he writes and the melody the way he constructs a melody that's interesting.
In his books, he's cool because he talks about like Muddy Waters and how you can't learn these songs by his even. You have to the way his chords are and everything. The way Muddy plays like.
Well, he does weird tuning.
Plus,
too.
I was busted at the same airport Keith Richards was, which was cool. It was like he got busted at New. They pulled me over and they stole my beer. They took me from when I came back from England. They X-rayed my case. They took me they interrogated me. This is like after 9/11. They took my beer.
Wow.
Was this... Wait, this was your check bag?
Well, the bag that went through, and actually I forgot some friends gave me some bottles of beer, and they asked me the first time, and I said I couldn't think of what it was, and I remembered, but they confiscated it. You know why? They made it drink it.
Maybe because they were...
but
it could have been because they were glass. They might have thought you had exposed.
I mean, that's why. But I wanted to talk a little about the yards, because I'm really interested in how...
So, I did this residency program, and it went really well, and it's a really great space with probably, I don't want to misquote this, but I think there's about 30 artists that have studio space there. It might be somewhere between 25 and 30, and it's just like this great, huge, weird, collaborative space where you have your own room, but everybody's kind of friends and looking in on what each other's doing, and,
It's like one of my things I haven't been to because of the C word now in a few years, but always the Haunted Hungerford was one of my events of the year. And we did actually, when my friend Christy's studio, we did a show from there. But the thing you find about all these artists is they're really, really shy, though. And like one of my friends would even show up. She's like, I heard we were doing a pod. That was me. Why didn't you come down?
I'm. That's the weird that when you do the open market thing on Saturdays. So the Yards is always open on Saturdays 10 to 2 so that you can go like check it out and see what everybody's doing. You can walk up there, you can walk around and look and
where's it located too? I know
it's at the public market. It's right in between Cure and Best Coffee at the market. So that little door right in between.
You got me right there as soon as you said coffee. You'd all be right there. It's like, okay, you're luring me in on that one.
That's why Rob didn't know where it was. He was just always distracted by the coffee shop.
Right past the coffee. Yeah, it's an easy to miss door, but it's painted bright blue and it has a nice little sign above it.
So I'm very familiar with Artisan Works. That's the one I'm most familiar with because I know the people who run it.
Yeah.
And I always believe with creative people, what you do is you don't put any, like if we have anything done, like a commission or something, you just say, run wild. That's the way creative people are. It's like I'm supposed to be in a friend's book, and he asked me, but I'm supposed to play a bad guy. Shock of shocks. But he's like, and it's this. But he asked me if like there's anything. I said, no, I know you're creative. Just nothing with farm animals, anything else. But just know when you let creative people run wild. That's like with music when you just like box people in. And I think like in a band, maybe Greg, you could talk to this because you are sort of the only sort of musician here, which is a singer.
I sort of rock.
Yeah, but like if you box, like if you tell people, okay, you're going to play it like this, you got to do it like this, you're not going to get the best effort. It's like, what can you add to the song? And maybe if you should be confident but not egotistical, where if somebody gets a better idea, you should take it.
Well,
I completely agree with that.
No, you know when you're defensive and like an egomaniac where you can't take any criticism, that sucks. But like when you're confident, but you go, somebody goes, wait a second, that's good, but I think we could do it better like this.
Yeah, I think that's probably majorly important.
I think a good musician can do that. I mean, can take the criticism as well as, and it's not even criticism. It's just like somebody hears, you inspire somebody to think about something. So what you're already doing sparks something. So they're going, wait a minute, hey, I like that, but how about this? So everybody, that's how you start collaborating, and that's how you get things going.
Well, it's if you can work with people. Like I would point to Jeff Beck, who I love, but imagine what he would have done if he could actually work with people.
Right.
Well, that's definitely the thing that made me wait. Like I've always wanted to. Being in a band was definitely little kid dream. Like if I could talk to 10-year-old me, they would not believe it.
And you have a lot of pros too. Eric, I remember the Indras, Pink Elephant.
Eric really knows what he's doing.
And Frank, who's been doing this for a long time.
But the whole the collaboration with somebody else thing, was what really scared me, because I'm not good enough at anything to do very much on my own, so I kind of always knew, all right, I need somebody else to work with, because I have a lot of ideas, and I can explain them to you, and I can be like, it goes like this, and you tell me what those chords are, and we'll make a song. But I was really afraid of most people that I tried to or had tried to do music with me in the past, and Eric was the first person I felt very comfortable doing stuff with. And I don't know why.
As a rule, I think drummers, people that don't, I mean, I took theory and stuff like that, but I can't explain I can say, okay, it's this key or it's this chord, but I'll have to sing a rhythm or something, and then I depend on the other people to interpret it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to do all that stuff. I can say play it up on this position of the neck or something like that. I know the mechanics, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's mostly, I think a big part of my role in the band is just kind of doing what works the best. Like, I'm not attached to, it doesn't matter what I sing. I'm not going to be upset that something I tried didn't work. It doesn't make any difference. I'm not the,
You're a facilitator.
It's more like it's more like ornamentation than like lead singing. Eric and I sing almost all the songs together, so we're always kind of balanced. And then there's a couple songs that Amber and I sing together. There's a couple songs where it's me, Greg, Eric, and Amber. There's a lot of like passing the vocals around and doing a lot of vocals together. Especially, so we just recorded a record last month that I don't know when it'll be out, but we just recorded it, and that was, we really like got into that on this. There's a lot more interesting vocals, and Greg's doing some throat singing and stuff like that, and there's lots of weird vocals, but that's definitely something that I don't have like a thin skin about. It's fine if something doesn't work, and I have a really hard time in the practice space hearing myself. So anytime we do something together, I'm like, this sounds bad. Like, I know I don't sound good. I know I sound like I'm either off or I am close. Maybe I can't tell because I can't really, like, hear it. So I had to get over the, like, I don't need to always be, like, on and perfect when we're practicing thing. I get very nervous about, like, singing incorrectly feels a little more embarrassing than playing an instrument incorrectly to me, personally. So, like, that's the best way to...
Do you enjoy working with another woman? How does it, is that?
Yeah, so Amber is like my best friend in the whole world, and we're in this band together, and that's one of my favorite parts of it. I really like. Well,
no, I'm just saying, there's no clashing, there's no problems.
No, not
that's
at all.
Good.
I would like to work with more women. Ladies, anybody are listening?
Actually,
that's really cool.
Honestly, the problem is I don't know a lot of.
I think you get the band Evil Hearted You because Amber Tracy.
I love Amber Tracy. Amber Tracy is.
But why do they have to do? Come on, why do some of these bands have to sell their stuff just a cassette because they have an Evil Hearted You cassette?
Oh man, I want a cassette.
I have a bunch of them. I have nothing to play them on.
Oh, I do.
One of my friends, actually, one of my more punk rocky friends, I was saying I'm getting this big collection of cassettes from these bands I know, and like Evil Hearted You, Maber. He goes, freaking hipsters.
Go to any secondhand shop and you'll be able to buy a boombox with a cassette.
I have one. I think it might still work. But yeah.
I like it. Hang on to your tapes. Hang on to all your physical media. My biggest regret in the last 10 years, that's a complete lie. I have many bigger regrets than this, but one of my regrets of the last 10 years was selling all of my movies and CDs before I moved to California because I didn't have a way to take them with me. And I really wish that I had not done that.
You want some floppy disks? No, I don't.
Well, the thing is, now you can probably get them all. I know. I picture that, like, if I sell all my stuff like that, it'd be like missing a friend. It would be like losing.
That's the thing. You can't get everything as easily as you used to be able to. There are movies that I sold for almost nothing that if I wanted to buy them again now would be like $85 because they're not in print anymore. Like, there are so many things that I wish that I had kept, not because they're worth money, just because I would like to have them again, and I can't afford to replace them because now their value has
go to the secondhand stores, like music stores. Like, I work at this place, Good Vibes. It's in Greece.
Oh.
It's Dewey and Stone. I teach some drum lessons there, and they have a consignment and stuff.
I've never heard of that.
Go there, but they have. I go there every day. I look through the CDs. I'm like, I wanted this CD, or I have vinyl, but I wanted a CD, so I go there. They're $5 a piece or something.
The whole the advent of streaming and stuff when I was a kid, that kind of started when I was like in high school, and it seemed like a miracle to me. It seemed like the best thing that could ever happen. I was like, you got thousands of movies right here, and they're right here in my room, and I don't have to go anywhere and get them. They're just here, and I can just watch all of them. Wow, I was so into that and so excited, and it has, like, definitely, absolutely, detrimentally affected the way that I watch things since then. There's too many choices.
Right. I agree, totally.
I can't find anything I want, and the looking for something that I want makes me forget about the stuff that I actually want to watch.
And the commentary and the director's cut,
all
the
that
commentary, the deleted scenes, it's all gone. And that's
it does bother. You said it exactly, though. There's too many choices.
Access is great. Access is wonderful. I'm not, like, definitely not criticizing it's great that more people can get a hold of things, but that's not actually what's happening. There are so many things you can no longer get a hold of because they're not licensed for streaming. And then they disappear. I'm scared of when we no longer have physical media, all of the stuff that's going to fall through the cracks preservation-wise if we're just streaming stuff. There are so many movies you already can't really find, and if they're not licensed for streaming, where are they? Like, are we gonna wait like 50 years and then most of them are gone?
No, and I don't, like I always say, I'm either highbrow or lowbrow. I'm not middlebrow. And like, why should you see all the mainstream stuff? So like, I remember for years,
buy the VHS versions.
We tried. I wanted to see Salo, and I wish I didn't. Salo.
Oh man, I watched that movie at 8 in the morning once. That's when I watched it.
But we went. They played at the. The funny part was it played at the drive-in, so I'm going there. Oh. Like literally all my friends.
In a theater?
People are walking out during it. I almost gagged. Kevin Wilcox, who happy birthday, Kev, because it's your birthday when the show is. But I talked to Kevin afterwards. He goes, dude, that guy with the eyes, I had nightmares for days. And Pasolini, somebody was so upset. And actually, there's a movie, Pasolini, William Dafoe plays him. Somebody ran him over because of that movie that backed up over him a movie.
He got murdered.
So watch out after doing the podcast,
guys. Yeah, really.
That movie has, that's one of those movies that I really, when I was watching it, I was like, I wish I wasn't watching this. But,
yes.
but the last scene I liked so much in the context of the rest of the movie that I was like, nope, this was worth my time. I'm glad I saw it, and I feel confident in recommending this.
What movie is it?
Salo, 120 Days of Saddam.
I never.
Sure.
It's really like one of those 70s.
Based on the Marquis de Sade's book. They don't have to say that, but they take it to Nazi Germany.
It's really rough. It's tough to watch, but it has a scene at the end that I thought was really powerful, and like it's casual. It's the thing with the two boys dancing.
Yeah.
When they ask, "What's your girlfriend's name?"
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, that's really perfect. What a perfect little thing they just made because of that ending. If it hadn't been that, I wouldn't have been sure what they were doing. But that made me go, oh.
You probably like Wes Anderson movies then.
I like most movies, honestly. I like Wes Anderson. I like Paul Thomas Anderson better. That's the Anderson that that I really love.
So it's funny you were talking about media. I went through this whole phase where I still have it, but I bought a DVD recorder, and then I had satellite.
Yep.
I had DirecTV. So what I would do is I would just program, and I taped hundreds of movies off Turner Classic and other things. Yes. And that's what I have, books and books of homemade DVDs.
So, yeah, we do too. So DirecTV has what they call the bottomless DVR, right? And so having satellite was great. When we moved to a house on the north side of Pinnacle Hill, so there's no view of the sky at all, right? So we can't get satellite. So we were the first customer in the history of DirecTV to say, we want to keep our box. We don't want to move because we can't put satellite, but we want to keep our box for another 2 months. And they're like, why? And it's like, so we can watch and download everything off the box. Because we had 1,000 things on the box. It was amazing. And
that's what I did.
So they're all on DVD now.
Yep.
But Jill and I went through this whole technology thing where we had to figure out, like, what format are they in? How do we get them off the box? And we did it.
Yeah, that's
it took 3 months.
It takes a lot. Yeah, that's definitely.
You just run an RCA. You can just run RCAs out of the back of the box into your recorder. That's what I do.
But you are so right, because like some movies I've looked for, you try to find them, they're like $80, $90.
You want to talk about movies that are like,
You know what's another?
Make you feel bad. There's a movie called Happiness. You know the movie Happiness?
Oh God, that movie.
Yeah.
That was a hard movie.
Happiness is one of my favorite movies. I'm being serious.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. It's a movie that I watch a lot. There's something about it that makes me feel very, very like okay. I don't know why. There's something about the tone of it. There's a lot of reasons I like that movie a lot. I used to have it on DVD. I bought it for $5 used. You try to find that movie now, you are not buying it for less than $45. Yeah. It is unfindable, and I just want a copy.
If I see one like in a bin somewhere, watch it'll be like slumming going to Walmart for sneakers. It'll be in the. I'll buy this for Nia. It's $5.
I've been trying to find a copy of the Dick Tracy movie, the Warren Beatty. It's hard to find.
I think I have a VHS of that somewhere.
I thought I did too, but I can't find it. I had Waterworld too, and I can't find that either.
I just watched Waterworld for the first time this year. I liked it.
I did too.
I heard it was like one of the worst movies ever made.
Where did they get their cigarettes from? That was my biggest question about Waterworld.
It made me miss movies like that though that had sets. Like you remember like Hook?
Yeah.
Was from the same time period. Things that looked like it's a real place. That those crazy big boats and like all that stuff was very real and tangible. And there's not a lot of set building like that anymore. The whole feeling.
I've heard a story, true or not, I don't know. But I saw The Wizard of Oz in IMAX 3D. Which was awesome.
Fun.
Now, what I've heard is that if they tried to rebuild the sets from there, like not CGI, do the sets, they couldn't these days.
They wouldn't be able to,
But just seeing it like...
You don't have the people to do that.
Just seeing the IMAX, like Oz and everything, it's just fantastic.
Well, I was
all
watching...
practical effects are definitely...
Yeah, I was watching that Deepwater Horizon on a disc, and they had a special features. They had to build the oil derrick. It's about an oil derrick catastrophe.
Wow.
So, and it's like Mark Wahlberg. It's good. I haven't watched the whole thing yet. But they had to build, they were talking about how they had to build this thing. It was like freaking 50 feet high, and they put the pipes in and all. And I mean, because they wanted a practical thing. They wanted, for the actors like it.
Well, that's you can't act against something digital.
Yeah.
Ian McKellen has a really famous quote about that when he was filming the Hobbit movie. He said he cried every day after his scenes because he was acting alone in a green screen room.
Right.
He's like, this is not why I wanted to be an actor. It's about being with other people, and like this feels soul crushing and weird to just act at a essentially at this.
Just cash the check and shut up. I know, but that's probably true. Like I remember the Sky Captain movie.
I like it. Sky Captain in the World Premiere.
I love that movie.
What?
I don't know this movie.
It's Judith Paltrow, or Gwyneth Paltrow and Jude Law. It's done like an old serial. 30.
Yeah.
Laurence Olivier being dead for like 20 years is in it.
But they were talking about it was like the first all digital movie, I guess.
Right.
But they were talking about how they'd have nothing on the set but like a table, just to have some frame of reference.
So weird.
Wow.
Like they used to build whole sets and get people in costumes just to do an animated movie. They used to use like people and sets for reference just to draw for a cartoon.
Perfect example.
I didn't do that.
I got into Ralph Bakshi movies a while back again.
Oh, yeah.
And Lord of the Rings, he had actors and he painted over them.
Yeah, rotoscoping, right? You do the...
Yep. You make the carousel.
And I think in a way we're losing, like, sometimes you look at all the CGI, we can do anything, but we're losing, like, a sense of creativity.
I don't like it at all.
Because you go back, like, say you had a small budget, 1950s, you had to be creative to come up with this stuff. You had to think outside the box. It's like, how did they get, like, laser gun effects? They whacked, like, a telephone pole wire and get the wing.
Yeah.
It's not even... My biggest issue with it, if I'm being honest, is that I think it pretty much always looks bad within 5 years, and we are far enough away from the advent of digital effects that we should know that. We should know that this is not going to look good in 5 years. We should know that if you choose to do this, it's going to look stupid very, very, very soon. Yeah. And if you just did it for real, where there's a real thing that you're touching, it's not going to look as stupid. The Thing looks great to me still. I think that movie looks great. I would rather watch something that looks like that any day of the week than something that looks like Transformers. Anytime there's too many digital things happening on the screen, it's cluttered in a way where my eye can't focus on anything. I don't know what I'm supposed to.
I'm so glad that movie. That's one of my favorite movies all the time. And
It's great.
And
the original one or the newer one?
The Carpenter one.
Oh.
The Carpenter one. There's one even older.
Yeah,
Right.
James Arness.
James Arness,
That one.
And the one, I mean, John
carrot.
Carpenter's whole title to Who Goes There, the story, because it's a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Right.
But James Arness is like the giant vampire carrot man.
Carrot Man.
But all that, like, my favorite, like, Cronenberg's a big favorite of mine. Paul Verhoeven's a big favorite of mine.
Oh, yeah.
A big part
Starship
of it
Troopers,
is
baby.
Starship Troopers is great. And Starship Troopers has digital stuff, but it also mixes in puppets, which is important. If you're going to have a monster and it's purely digital... I remember when the Lord of the Rings movies came out, I was a kid, and those were one of the first movies that really got me excited about, how did they do this?
Right.
How did they make this? Like, I was all over learning about that movie. And Gollum looked incredible to me at the time. I gotta admit, does not look good now. Really didn't hold up the way I was expecting it to. So, like, if even that thing that was so groundbreaking doesn't work, we shouldn't be doing that anymore. Just mix it in with, like, something you built. Like, you can still have, like, when it's moving fast, it can
I think
be digital,
motion
but
capture comes pretty close, because it's
motion
based on a
capture's
real
better,
person.
yeah.
Can you imagine, though, like,
that was the Gollum stuff was all Andy Serkis with motion capture.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the patience, like, being like a Harryhausen or any of them, where for, like, things of
Frame by frame.
And Harryhausen would say, if he got a phone call, it would screw him up, but, like, you know, it would take him, like, how many hours to get, like, 20 minutes?
It's not like it's necessarily terrible. So, okay, I'll use an example. There's a new movie that came out this year called Men. Has anybody seen or heard of this?
No.
Did anybody see, what's the example I want to use here? Ex Machina? Did anyone see that movie?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Same director as that.
Okay.
So I liked that movie a lot, so I wanted to go see it. I really liked it up until there's a very big climax where all of a sudden we choose to use a bunch of really bad digital effects that don't fit, and it's a horror movie in a very intimate setting. So we are close up to these really bad effects. And it's not like I think that, like, everybody is being lazy or that you shouldn't be following, like, digital art or trying to make it better or improve it. But if I saw this movie and it was my movie and I saw that cut, it didn't look done. Like, it looked so... All I kept thinking was, like, you really couldn't just build something to do this? It's not too complicated, but you made it look a way that took me so out of the scene. Like, I immediately doesn't feel real. It immediately, like, cheapens everything a little tiny bit.
I made the comment last show we were on about digital stuff. I said, like fire, explosions, it all looks the same.
It all looks the same.
Yes.
And it's like you see it in the background. Somebody's walking away and a building exploding behind them. Really? And they're not going to get hit by anything? Give me a break.
It's not like
it just looks phony to me.
I don't need stuff to be real. I just kind of want to... I don't like being taken out of the world as hard as digital effects seem to jerk me out of the moment. Not always, but enough that it feels that way.
They're rarely integrated well with the real part of the story. And I think you just talked about one where it's very jarring because everything's real up until that scene.
Until that scene, and it didn't... Well, and it's also full of very good makeup, very weird, old school, like, they have one guy playing 7 characters, and he's got all this crazy, like, he's doing Peter Sellers type, like, weird makeup and different, like, doing his body different.
Dr. Lau.
It's great. It's great stuff, but it's suddenly at the end, we didn't go with that. And that immediately made me think, well, this is definitely a budget thing. Like, somebody definitely made this guy do this way. Because Ex Machina is an example of, I think, almost perfect special effect integration. That looks real. That is probably always going to look good. It's been 10 years, I think, since that movie came out. It still looks great.
I'll have to watch that.
It's about
to rewatch it.
It's a 3-person drama about, like, androids. So there's a robot in it that looks like it's really good. That's definitely the best, like, robot I've seen in a really long time.
I saw AI. I mean, I actually bought that. I really liked that movie.
I just watched that for the first time since I was a kid. I really liked it.
Yeah. It had heart, it had story. It wasn't.
And it was creepy and weird. And just the Pinocchio story, which Pinocchio, the cartoon Pinocchio from the 40s is still one of my favorite movies.
You know what scene that you're talking about, the digital distraction? It's old now, but the Val Kilmer Batman, the climax where he's saving Robin and he goes down that chute thing. I watch it 100 times. I still can't figure out what he's doing.
Yeah.
It doesn't look. There's no real scene where he's throwing the thing and it hooks. Everything's cut. And it's like, I can't really, it just doesn't make sense what they're trying to
There's
show.
no visual narrative.
Yeah, it's like, it just happens.
And remember, AI was Kubrick, and they used storyboards because he died. That was going to be, he was waiting for effects, and then Spielberg did it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely, that's a movie that I thought I was going to hate when I watched it again, and then I was like...
The little bear, though.
Yeah.
The little bear was
great.
The little bear.
It's a really weird movie. It's a lot weirder and uglier and darker than I remember it.
And it's slow, and it could have been like a hard to watch, but it wasn't.
Well, yeah, you can kind of feel Kubrick in the first half of it a lot too. You can still kind of see the way he wanted things to look, and I had a conversation with somebody recently where we were like, I don't want to be this guy, but he really, like, who's better? I can't, like, I don't know who else I like more than Kubrick exactly. I don't want to be the person who picks that.
I finally saw Killer's Kiss, too. I had not seen Killer's Kiss. I just seen it. Kubrick's great. And there's also a movie called Color Me Kubrick, which is really, really good.
John Malkovich?
Yeah, about the guy. There was a guy who impersonated Kubrick and like moose money. And the funny part was, I guess he didn't look anything like him. But he goofed up. He didn't even know his movies. But he would just go up to people. Well, I'm a director. And Stanley Kubrick. Then he'd get free drinks or food.
I started to watch Eyes Wide Shut, and I was like, I got like half hour into it. I'm like, okay.
I love it. I love it.
Kubrick.
I watch it every Christmas. I watch it like I think it has a thing, and it's like a journey. It's like a dream because it's like based on a story of Prince Otto in Germany, and it's based on like so it's like very dreams.
I like that they built an entire fake New York City set in England. That is a really crazy looking movie because of the fake New York City, and it works.
And
really?
You know who his number one? You know who his number one choice for Cruise's role was? No. Steve Martin.
Wow.
I really want to see that.
I want to see that movie.
Because
the reason I haven't seen that movie is because I'm out of time.
You should definitely.
One of the reviews one of my friends gave about Minority Report one time, he told me, he said, despite Tom Cruise being in it, was pretty good.
Yeah, that would have been my review.
I don't like Tom Cruise as a guy. I like Tom Cruise when he's in a movie. I like Magnolia a lot. He's great in Magnolia.
Magnolia was a good movie.
I think I remember William H. Macy busting his teeth the most out of there. Plus, I have the soundtrack as Amy Mann.
The Sky was interesting. I mean, that was trippy.
Yeah, he was good in that. I like Tom Cruise. I don't, but I do.
Did you see, what's that one? The one where it keeps reliving the day over and over.
Edge of Tomorrow.
That's a good one.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the reason that I watched that was because Paul Thomas Anderson did an interview one time with somebody who was kind of asking him about his favorite movies, and they were really surprised that his favorite movies are all like just action movies. He loves like a bad action movie, a kind of dumb comedy. Like he's super like lowbrow. He makes stuff that's not like that, but that's what he likes.
That's cool.
He was like, the best movie of the year is Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise. I love it. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. Yeah, it was great.
I would say one of the most perfect movies ever was Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh, my God. I remember that.
I loved it. But I was going to say, in terms of lyrics, now, does Eric or somebody else write the lyrics?
Eric writes everything.
Now, it's your job to interpret them. So when you see these, do you have to just, do you have to visualize them, or do you just try to bring them to life? Or?
So all that comes way later. Like, if I'm being honest, so when we just recorded, I had a lot of trouble with that at first. Like, I have a hard time keeping everything in my brain at once, and usually I'm focusing so much on...
You're perfect for this show, then.
Just doing it, that I'm not, like, thinking too hard about the words until we're closer to recording it, I guess, if that makes sense.
Well, the one song, like, I got in my head was North. And the thing was, I still think there was, like, the good slow burn where it picked up and it just got going and going. That's why I was thinking, like, Nick Cave or Mark Lanigan, definitely.
Yeah, we have. So when we release this record, we have we're covering a Lanigan song on it, which is one of my favorite songs to play with everybody. So we'll have.
She's the kind of girl that would make me pick up A Strange Religion. We want to cover that, actually. He does that one. I'm going to get the title wrong, but he does a version of that old blues song. I think they call it Behind the Pines or whatever.
Oh,
it's the one, Where Did You Sleep Last Night? It's so gothy. It's so...
Yeah, his version of that's good.
It's so
Bill Callahan has a really good version of that song, too.
But I like his. I mean, I just love his stuff mostly. Like, I can't remember, like, Screaming Trees, right?
Yeah, he was a Screaming Trees guy, which I didn't know that until I found his solo stuff first.
So I know it was Queen of the Stone Age. Was he in Queens of the Stone Age or something for a little while? Because I don't know. It's like Dave Alvin, when David Alvin was in X and all these
weird,
other...
So I saw Mark Lanigan once, and it's the only experience I've ever had where I saw an artist and I thought, I know less about them, and they seem less like a real person to me now. I've never seen anyone who reminded me more of like it felt like I would have to ask people, like, was he really there? Did I dream? Like, was that a ghost? Like, he didn't talk at all. He just comes out and does his thing, which is, like, really intense and great, and then he leaves.
You know who does
Thank
that?
You. Goodbye.
Knows well, and I know when I saw him last time, Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
He does not talk at all. If you take a picture, the show's over. Good luck.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
But what he does, he'll come out. Now, I have heard sometimes he'll introduce the band, but he starts, and the beauty with he just reinterprets this stuff so much where, like, you're sitting there going, what the hell?
I think I have to get ready to accept that I don't think I'm ever going to get to see him live.
I would say, see, the thing was, I saw him here at the Auditorium Theater it was 2018. One of the best shows I saw. You could see his where you're just going to shake your head going, why did I even pay $1? Because it's so bad. Most people I know
have had that experience. And I don't care. I would like to just be in the same room as Bob Dylan one time before he dies. That would be nice.
But he was great. And what he does now, I guess he's got arthritis or something. He can't play guitar, so he's playing keyboards. And he sets the stool long ways for some reason. But he would come out and sing, too, like he sang Scarlet Street. He just come out with the mic. But at the end of the show, he just comes out.
Yep.
And that's it.
I just saw a couple months ago, the first concert I've seen in years because of COVID. I went and saw Loudon Wainwright. Does anybody know who he is?
Yeah, Loudon, yeah.
Dead Skunk.
That's the opposite experience.
I saw him at Waters years ago.
Yeah, he's great. That was one of the craziest. He sounds better to the exact same as he did when he was in his 20s. It's really bizarre to hear his voice come out of him now. He sounds identical. Nothing about him has changed, and he's 75, 76, something like that. But his show is just, you go, and he comes out, and he talks to you for a bit, and he's like, okay, what songs do you want to hear? And then he does that for like an hour and a half. He read some stuff out of his book. He's like, okay, I'm going to do like 3 new ones. What song do you want to hear? And then
no one was kind of funny, because I'm thinking like Steve Earle, and like one of my friends, we saw Steve Earle at Anthology, and one of my friends was, okay, you know, whatever, politics or whatever, I don't want to get too much politics, but he actually did an album. He did Copperhead Road in entirety. Then he goes, well, I didn't really do any politics on this album. I didn't got to get pissed off about stuff again. But then the thing he does, out of all the things, he talks about living in New York now. And he goes, I'm a Yankees fan. Somebody yells, fuck the Yankees. And he's like, fuck.
I've been trying not to curse because I forgot that this is not the radio.
No, you can swear on this show.
I curse more than this normally. Yeah, I forgot.
Our guests loved it. They're like, wait a second, yay!
I didn't want to break the seal. If you want to talk about like influences, though,
yes.
So I don't. This year is the first year I ever wrote a song. I wrote a song, and then I wrote a lot of songs after that. So I do write, and I have a lot of music, but nobody's going to see it yet. It'll probably take another like year or two before I get it together. But the biggest like person in my head is Loudon Wainwright. That's definitely the type of writing and the type of thing that like connects with me the most, and that's.
He's got like that nice sort of like humor and like funny, conversational.
Very, very, very. He's one of the people I think has nailed songs about suicide better than anybody. He's got a lot of like really casual, really on point and very like they get it, but they're also very funny and like kind of mean.
That's what I said about Heathers. The thing was, now when I saw Heathers, we had unfortunately somebody committed suicide at my high school. Mm-hmm. And you're not laughing at it in the movie. What you're doing is laughing at the response.
Right.
But all the people, this is my best friend, when they didn't even know him.
You gotta be able to talk. You gotta be able to laugh about that. There's no other way to do it. That's
how I am. I'm like that dark sense of humor and everything. But you were saying you've been burning up Warren Zevon lately.
Oh, man. I'm all about War on Zevon these days. The Excitable Boy record is great. The what's the other one?
You notice that though, like for Excitable Boy, it's such like an upbeat tune where it's like about a lunatic.
Dug up her grave and built a cage with her bones.
Yeah, I love singing that
It's the
song.
craziest thing anyone ever wrote.
And it's like that juxtaposition though, where it's not like somber.
No, he's such a romantic writer. His songs are like these big sweeping, like Scott Walker type melody. Like he's so
visual.
He raped her and killed her or whatever he said.
And then he took her home.
Yeah.
That's definitely that's somebody that I wish I could be like. Physically
but alive,
and all of it. And there's something about the way he looks.
And I think Nick Lowe's got a little about that, too. Like, if you heard Marie Prevost,
love Nick Lowe.
She was a winner. She became the doggy's dinner.
There's a Nick Lowe song called All Men Are Liars. That's one of my favorite. I think that's a perfectly written song. I think every word in that song is just right.
I always say he was the one that got me really into, I call him a good gateway drug, because a lot of people, like, if you get Jesus a Clue or something, it's poppy enough and accessible enough, but it's more, so you get drawn in.
It took me a minute to get him. I really didn't get it when I was younger, and then the last couple of years I've been like, no, this is what I would like to hear more of. His writing is just, it's so perfect it's almost annoying. His voices, too. He's got absolutely crazy control. He's so good at phrasing, and everything comes out like just how he wants it to come out.
Oh, yeah, he's one of my all-time favorites. It's like a thrill, like one of my friends played backup for him. I can't believe it.
That's amazing.
His band plays backup for him. I'm like, I'm not worthy. But the other one, definitely we have to talk about is one of my favorites on Nick Cave.
I do love Nick Cave.
And I have said my top 5, and I don't like to do those number ones ever, but my definitely top 5 of the century, the Electric Factory in Philadelphia, Nick Cave. Because he's got a way about him where he's like got such a presence, but he knows what he can sing too.
And he doesn't always care. That's the whole No More Shall We Part. That whole record was him writing a record on purpose that it was too high for him to sing, and he did it anyway. That's crazy. That's like that's a crazy choice.
And he's somebody also, when he puts something new out, like his new album Carnage, or Ghost Teen, you don't know. It's not like, okay, it's going to be the same old stuff.
Ghost Teen, I still have not figured out. That one I have not cracked.
I think it's a lot of it because of his son died.
That was his own, that's his own project.
I think Lavender Fields was the one I can get the most out of those, but some of the other ones I still...
That's kind of like a soundscape record. It's not really like a...
Have you read Who Killed Bunny Monroe? His book?
Actually.
I think it's like, I call it the best book Leonard Cohen never wrote because it comes off like as a Cohen book.
I have mixed feelings about Nick Cave's writing. I love him. He's one of my favorite songwriters of all time. I've seen him a couple times. There's nothing like one of his concerts. It's the closest thing to like religious stuff.
The Mercy Seat at the Electric Factory when he did the Mercy Seat.
When you're like right up there, it's very weird. He has so much not control over the audience. There's just something going on. Like, he just, I don't know, he trusts the audience a lot, and the audience can feel that, and there's just this weird, like, energy that goes on with him. But I think he's, I'm obsessed with him, but I don't love when he writes a narrative. I've struggled through all of his books, and if I'm going to be honest, the movies that he's made, the biggest problems I have with them are the writing, and that bums me out. I don't want to not like his books, but I don't love them. But I also haven't tried to read one in a really long time, so I might be.
Well, it's like I said, like about Paul Westerberg was something that he goes, you can write tons of good stuff, and then you write one thing that's not so good. Everybody hates it.
Well, that's the thing is, I kind of like that. Like, I like that there's a thing by my favorite person that it doesn't click with me, and that's fine. Like, that's for somebody else. It's just not. It's not my thing, but it's not bad. It's just kind of like, this isn't as much. I didn't love it the way that I thought I would, but yeah, he's massively important. I'm not a big concert goer, believe it or not.
I'm not. I'll go. I do small shows. That's about it now. But like him, and actually, he was the one that was, I call it 2020, the year of found money, because I look on my email and I get all these concert ticket refunds, and I was going to go see him in Philly. Again, we had the tickets and everything, and all of a sudden there's a concert refund.
The saddest concert refund I ever got, which the anniversary of this is coming up quick. You guys know David Berman from Silver Jews and, I don't know, some other projects, but he put out this record in 2019 called Purple Mountain, which is one of my favorite records of all time. I love everything about it. And then I had tickets to go see him, and he killed himself 3 weeks after the record came out.
Oh, my God.
So I got a refund for that, and that was horrible. I was like, oh. God, I don't want this money. Can I give it to
I saw Vic
family or
Chester at the
something?
Bug Jar. I think he killed himself like a couple
Right after, yeah, that was a rough one for me.
So that's the thing, like, you know, I tried, like, we actually did, like, I know it's a tough subject, suicide. We actually did this play that my friends just did at DVC called 7 Years Gone, where it's about a bunch of addicts, and it's 7 years after from there, and it's like something, you know, people have to, like, if you're having problems with messages, you have to go reach out to people.
Right.
Yeah.
There's nothing like being tough, like being, you know, all stoic about it, and there shouldn't be, you know, any stigma on it or anything.
I know it's a sensitive subject and everything, but I've kind of started approaching it with, I don't care, because I don't think that being, like, nice and polite and not making people uncomfortable is more important than people not dying.
Well, I think that's half the
Excellent
problem.
rule. That's great.
So I've been really upfront with it lately. That's the whole life. My whole life I've dealt with it. I've been hospitalized. I've tried a bunch of times. I'm sure that that's not over. But I've integrated it kind of into myself a lot more than I used to. I've made friends with it is usually what I like to tell people, where I'm like, okay, this is always here. I just need to know when it's too far up to the front of the head. Like, it being here is fine. Like, I don't need to focus on crushing that urge if I can live with the urge. It's just making sure I have tools to not actually get that deep down into it.
I mean, I've been through some shit, especially the last 5 years. And what I said, I used the Tennessee Williams quote, like, you take away, you know, if you take away my demons, you take away my angels, too. You have to be able to confront them. Right. And I've seen all this stuff, and you have to, like, be honest with yourself about it and realize you're always going to have these problems and everything.
And always talk to somebody. It's impossible, and I don't take that advice all the time. It's so embarrassing to be like, I want to die. It is. It's like embarrassing to tell people that, because I think the urge when people try to help you is to be like, but here's all the good things. It's not like you don't know that there's good things. It's usually that you can't access the feelings attached to the good things right now, and that's usually what that is.
I read a book a long time ago called The Secret Strength of Depression. And it's a very good book. And you start to, when you read it, you realize, okay, it's chemical, it's organic. You realize that there's a reason you get depressed because of whatever. It may be diet, it might be whatever. But as you learn to work with these things, then you go to counseling.
You have to work. It is really tedious and really annoying, and it's a lot of work.
Plus, food does affect you, doesn't it, Paul? Did you say that?
Yeah, I mean, the science on this is really fascinating right now. So it's down to the gut-brain connection is well understood, it's well documented, and I read the craziest thing like 2 weeks ago. So we were talking earlier, farm to table, right?
Right.
So all my protein, right? Not a vegetarian or vegan. I love meat. We all love meat.
No, me neither.
But
I'm tolerant. It's all right.
But you know, so the study out of Spain said people that eat, I forget what the name of the protein was, but it comes from, get this, line-caught fish, free-range poultry, pastured pork, and grass-fed beef. And I'm like, wait a minute, and fresh-laid, you know, free-range chicken eggs, right? So all the protein in my life can make you depressed. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm like the farthest from depressed of anybody I know, right? And then I'm reading more about what it is, and it's like, okay, so this protein comes from those sources, and if you don't have the gut bacteria to process it properly, it gets broken down and metabolized, and then if you have the genes that then carry it across the blood-brain barrier, you end up with this protein in your cerebral spinal fluid, and it makes you depressed. And so it's like you have to have the trifecta, though. You have to have the gut bacteria, you have to have the genes, and you have to have the diet, and you have the diet. And if you've got the three things together, it makes you depressed. And then they proved it in mice. And I'm like, and it's like, okay, so you can make mice depressed because they don't solve mazes if they're depressed. And so they took the gut biome of the humans and that were depressed, and they put it into the mice, and the mice got depressed. And then they did it with flies. And how do you make a fly depressed? The fly won't try.
Won't do anything.
Yeah, I can't imagine seeing a depressed fly around the house.
It won't do shit, right?
I feel like that's an important thing to remember about where does that word come from? Like, depressed. That's mostly what it is that you are just
down.
Crushed.
You are crushed.
You are not moving.
Well, I found that out, like, after my finding out I should be dead, like, after last year. It's like I said, I've been telling you, it's like I have PTSD sometimes where I just feel the world's crushing on me and I can't feel happy about anything.
Right.
And it's a lot of tricks. I like to tell people that I'm always trying to trick myself into staying alive longer. So
damn it, cheer up, Rob.
If you like put stuff in front of you to do, it kind of helps. So like the yards thing is definitely an attempt at that. The band is a big thing. It's like, you know, I try to keep my responsibilities to a minimum because I'm not a terribly responsible person and I have a lot of mental problems and I don't want to disappoint everybody, you know. So I try not to be. I am a flake, but I try really hard not to be. It's never an I don't care thing. It's always an I am out of energy or in another I'm not in my body.
We're like on the same plane in a lot of ways like that.
So I like to I have to have something in the future, though. I have to have something where it's like, I already committed to this. Somebody else knows it. I can't drop out of it. So, like, I've had a rough couple of weeks, but I was like, no, I gotta do the art show, right? I gotta at least do that. I gotta get through that, and now we're past that. So the next thing is, we gotta finish the record. We gotta at least finish the record. Then there's, you know, the record I'm writing with a friend of mine. Got to do that. That's so far out.
Well, you know what Warren Zevon said when he had cancer? He says, I have to stick around. There's another James Bond movie coming out.
That's like one of my favorite suicide note lines ever, which I know what a miserably, like, goth thing to say. It's so gross. It's my favorite suicide note line. I love Hunter S. Thompson's when he just said football season is over.
I remember that.
Over.
That's one of my favorites.
But see, that's like the thing about the show where I think, the show, we're real on this show. We talk about anything like that.
I don't really have a lot of room for not that these days.
Yeah, that's how we want to be.
I will just turn around in the middle of a conversation and walk away from it lately if it's not engaging, which is so fucked up thing to do.
Well,
but I will do it.
No, one of my friends said this too. Well, no, one of my friends said this to me, and I say, I'm right there with you. He'll just go, look, you're not interesting.
Maybe I should start doing that.
Well, you and I had this conversation over text the other day, Rob, about just we feel the need to be around genuine people. I mean, after going through, I'm like always out seeing live music, always concert going is a big thing for me, and after 2 years of like not doing anything, now it's like, well, I want quality experiences. I would rather just sit home and do whatever at home instead of going out and engaging people that aren't real, right? And the friend and we're I feel like we're paring our friends list down.
Yeah, we are though. We are.
Well, that's important.
I would love it if the world was just like simple and like rainbows and unicorns. And I just found out. Well, they announced coffee.
Would you love it?
No, coffee causes
rainbows,
coffee causes depression. I know what the problem is.
Well, that's the thing is like any chemicals of any kind, good or bad, that you're putting in there is doing stuff that you don't know what it's doing. Like I don't know what I'm putting in my body every day. I have no idea. There's probably things I could do to improve that, but I don't know all of them. Like I eat my fruits and vegetables and stuff. I do the best I can. I don't drink to excess anymore.
No, I think we've all been there, done that.
Yeah, that's enough of that.
I don't drink to excess any longer.
Just yesterday.
If I could, I probably still would. But it's definitely, the pandemic specifically made me a lot more, not introverted, but people don't see me as often. I spend a lot more time alone, and not because of that it's bad. I like it. It's a lot more. I want to spend more time by myself.
But you haven't now. I know you don't. There's no favors. We don't do that. But can you describe one of your pieces you've created, just a little bit?
Oh boy. Oh,
you don't have to. Yeah.
Sure. So for I'll give an example of the thing I made for the residency. So my drawings are really
I've seen them.
You know what I'm talking about? They're like
intricate,
big, and then just a lot of really small lines covering the whole thing. And it kind of makes it look like different. People have said mountains, topographical maps, hair, fire, whatever. It looks like different things to different people. So I made 2 of those for the residency, and then I made a bunch of other stuff that was just me experimenting with, because I don't know anything about mediums. I don't know anything about paint or paper, what I'm supposed to use and what works and what doesn't. So it was me experimenting with like watercolor pen, stuff like that. I made a bunch of projects. I took them all home because it was too hot to work in the studio the night before the show went up. Put them all on my bed. Didn't like any of them. Was like, this is a bunch of shit. I don't want to put these up on the wall. These are not done. These are like, it's literally just me experimenting. I don't want this. So I tore them all up and I glued them to this big canvas. It's probably like this big, and it just looks like this crazy window covered in like all these different colors and stuff. So like a lot of collage and mixed media, and I like things that look messy and like kind of bad sometimes. A friend of mine, my friend Jack and I do something that we haven't done in a long time, and I'm going to do it again soon, I promise, if Jack ever listens to this. We would do a thing where we would do like collage night together, and I got really into like putting stuff that shouldn't go on a collage in. Like I made one whole one where I just taped like a bunch of like salt and pepper and like
chopsticks,
just weird small stuff that shouldn't be there, that it just put like a layer of tape. I like stuff that looks like stacked and weird and cluttered and like too much going on, and I also like the opposite of that. I like really simple lines and like small things, but I also don't know what I'm doing.
That's
just
great,
kind of
though.
like going to like what I gravitate.
I like the idea of collage night. I mean, I never heard
Everybody
those 2 words together
that.
before, and I think that's awesome.
No, that's probably my favorite thing to do. I'm not great at it. It's not. I don't think it's like a strength of mine, but it's fun. It's fun to just cut stuff up and put it back together. And
look at me, like some of the things I put, like my little found art stuff, where I put bunny ears on pumpkins or
watermelons. That was cool, by the way. I think that was the coolest thing you posted on Facebook in a long time. I love that.
I do a lot of drums, or my drum heads. I do like take spray paint and glitter and spray adhesive, and I do weird stuff like that. And just, I'm gonna do red and black, and I just quick spurts of paint, so it kind of splatters.
Yep, I like that.
I remember reading about that called splatter inking that they used to do in the comics. They did it with a toothbrush.
Yes.
Oh, it's what Ralph Steadman would do. All kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so it's like kind of that.
There's another one, Daniel Barrington, too. He's like he does like watercolor like that. It looks really, really cool. It's different, too.
Yeah, I like art a lot. Like, I don't...
So that's me. I say I like it, I know it, but I have not much knowledge of it.
My sister and
my dad... I know it when I see it.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
Well, that's all it is.
But like one of my friends, I would send Warhol Christmas cards because I knew like my friend at the time, she loved Warhol and everybody loved the cards and everything. And I liked his idea. It's like, just, don't be pretentious about it. Do whatever.
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
Well, Warhol is somebody who always gets shit on a lot, but I definitely have a
and I never knew his nickname until that Songs for Drella album, Kale. And
great record.
Yes, I have Kale. And you know that, right? Fan. Oh, I see. People will get mad, and we'll wrap this up shortly because we could go on for hours.
I know.
But I had people pissed at me because I've said I like Kale better than Reed.
I do too, and I love Lou Reed.
That doesn't mean you don't like him, but it's just I think John Kale's better.
John Cale better, but I think Lou Reed's great.
Lou Reed, I love Lou Reed. I love Lou Reed too.
Lou Reed did my favorite cover of any song ever.
Salisbury Hill?
No. This Magic Moment.
Oh, I have to hear that.
From, you ever seen Lost Highway?
Oh yeah.
When Patricia Arquette, when the first time he sees Patricia Arquette, that's what's playing, and it's, I don't know. That's always my answer for best cover.
With that droney voice, I have to hear that.
Well, that's Salisbury Hill too, where he's like climbing up on Salisbury Hill with like sort of Metal Machine music behind him or whatever.
He takes this Magic Moment. He does a different thing. I don't know how to describe it. It's got this very like 60s pop thing still, but it sounds like the Velvet Underground doing it, but heavier. There's like a big droning electric guitar thing that's so good.
But no, well, how long now? You're at the Yards for like 3 weeks or so, and doing.
So it's all done.
And you stop at the Yards regardless all the time because it's a really cool place.
Yeah, and I also model there sometimes. But now that I'm staying and I'm going to rent a studio there, I'm going to be involved in all kinds of stuff. hopefully coming up.
That's cool. I love, like, anything that could promote this kind of stuff I think is awesome.
Yep.
I'm going to be hosting a modeling thing, I think, on August 10th.
Your man right here with that shirt.
For those of you not watching at home, I've got my lobster shirt on.
That's a good shirt.
It's a great shirt.
And I have my Rabbit Breeders and Fanciers coffee cup.
Oh, what's the picture?
I found this at a garage
it's a rabbit.
sale. Yeah.
It's got the rabbit on it, Cobbleskull.
Yeah. I found this
Very
at a
good.
garage sale. It was in the free box. And I was like,
Isn't that awesome?
Who could not get
who even
that?
thought there would be such a
That's a
thing?
really strange drawing of a rabbit, too.
Isn't
Yeah.
it weird?
Something's
It's
wrong with
creepy.
it looks like a bust. Something's wrong with the
It looks
neck.
like he's wearing a shirt or something.
Yeah.
It almost looks like a kangaroo or something.
The ears are
The ears
The
are
stuff
too
you can
short.
find in America, I'll tell you. Like I was saying that the other day, again, when you travel like upstate New York, it becomes like Kentucky, where you get like the bowling halls with the sock hops and the gun
It makes me want to
raffles.
stay away from Cobleskill, New York, I can tell you that.
Where is it? Where is it?
Cobbleskull?
New York.
Cobbleskull.
I'm
There's a
just kidding.
SUNY there, I
Cobbleskull's
think.
It's in the Catskills. It's
Oh, okay.
off of whatever the highway that it's near Peekskill. It's
Okay, I know where that is.
I see the pattern there.
Oneonta.
That's what I went through, like to go like the Ottawa Jazz Fest, where that, as I keep saying, the well-known jazz band Stone Temple Pilots, which was hilarious.
Yeah, so there's a folk fest in Buffalo in September, and I've seen all sorts of ads on Facebook for it. And the Flaming Lips are playing. I'm like, that's not.
Well, I was
quite
thinking
like-
about this, like with the living
Folks-
room, though. I'm getting to the point where it's like sometimes, how do you define genres? Like one of my friends' bands is an outlaw country band. Okay, it's good or it's not outlaw country.
Agents on drugs, I don't know.
You
Yeah,
always say sad sex lounge music.
that's
I like that.
I like that.
I
It's
like
actually
that.
very
Murder
good.
lounge.
Cool. But where are you? Do any? Now the album's coming out soon, sometime, eventually.
Sometime. We just
Not
finished-
your Chinese
we
democracy.
just finished recording it. We have to mix and master it still, so it'll probably take a little bit. I don't want to say like.
You will
I don't
get it
want-
eventually.
I don't want to give an estimate because I have no idea what it'll be.
And do you have any idea of any more? I know you played the benefit show for Ukraine.
We're working on it. We should have some stuff coming up in September and October. If everything goes well, we'll know very soon. But right now, we don't have anything.
No, and I know I've talked to Frank about it a little bit, and he said that, going along. And I think that makes it a little special, too. It's like,
it is tough to coordinate because there's 7 of us, so we have to,
Oh, wow.
get it together. And getting 7 people, 4 of which are dads, so we have to, work around that.
I just found that out, phone band. I knew okay, they could get one person, but the other person was busy as the other.
There's configurations of us that work without everybody. So we have a little stripped down version. We did this a lot last winter, but I don't know. We haven't played out like this yet. But Greg, Pete, Eric, and me did our own little thing where we would practice at my house, where we would just do acoustic versions of our songs, so that we would have something that if we wanted to play, if we needed to play somewhere else just to get stage time or whatever, we would have something ready to go. Where it's okay, 4 of us can go. And we've played without Frank before. No, we haven't. Maybe we have played without Frank. We played without Amber. We could definitely play without me. It's doable.
You should also, when we finally do D&D Part 3, be brave. Be the person who's never played before. Frank will be there. All your friends will be there.
Frank, oh boy. What is Frank's character?
He's got he's this sort of gothy looking guy with a black thing, even a costume.
I'm going to ask him all sorts of questions about this.
Oh, yeah, you'll see. You'll admit it. But thanks. It's been really fun. Yeah, this has been really a good talk.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I get so talky.
You're
that's
perfect
the whole
for the
point.
show. You're perfect for the show. You come back anytime. But you were going to play something from maybe on your phone or.
Should I do that? How do you do?
Well, our maestro will do that. You're not going to play now, but we'll do
that.
that.
Yeah, we do it in post.
But is this yes. But is there something just okay? Something from the living room. Want to say that?
Something from the living room.
Well, see, now you can.
Coming at you soon.
Yes. So very cool. Thanks. Very fun. Thanks a lot.
Bye. Boing.